Okay, and we are going to go live now on Facebook in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, Rachel here, and I have my friend Rebecca Gill here to talk to us today. Hey Rebecca.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. We were just joking as we were getting started here that we really could be doing this from the same location. Rebecca, like I mentioned, is my friend, and she lives like right around the block from me. So you're the closest person I've interviewed so far. All right, so let's get started on what we're going to talk to Rebecca about today. She is an SEO expert, and well, I'll let you tell us the story. How did you get started with the SEO, and how do you practice your trade now?
Okay, so I started with SEO 15 years ago when I was working for someone else. We had a great product, and if we could actually get into the door to do a demonstration of our product, we were closing business like 90% of the time. Unfortunately, we had a beyond pitiful lead funnel and sales funnel because we just didn't have anything coming in. And at that point, it was just kind of like I needed to learn SEO or I wasn't going to have a paycheck. So while I was doing other things for the company for marketing, I would teach myself SEO at nights and in the weekends. When I think about the learning SEO, I think of the Teletubbies because my daughter would be sitting next to me. She was like 1 and I'm, she's watching the Teletubbies and I'm trying to like figure out, what SEO is and how it works. So now I use it for our agency, Web Savvy Marketing, which I founded 9 years ago. And I have online courses, I have an SEO podcast, and then I also do SEO consulting work for clients directly. So that's it. It is pretty much my everything work life.
And you're constantly thinking in keywords and meta tags, I know.
Yeah, well, they say that, like the joke is you have a sixth sense. My sixth sense is keywords. I tend to see them everywhere, and it becomes almost annoying because you can't just, once you have it and you turned it on, you cannot turn it back off.
Well, I think it's kind of a fun party trick, so that's so when anybody's getting started in any type of online marketing, we hear the term SEO all the time, like to the point where we're all like, enough already. Mm-hmm. But it is a big part of what we do, and we know there are things that we are supposed to do, and we know the things that we're not supposed to do. So in general though, we really should focus on SEO. And why is it so important, and what is it about this that makes it something we really have to focus on?
Well, I think, SEO is just part of marketing today because so many people go to the web to search for things, whether they're searching for something they're going to do online or whether they're looking for something local. People go online before they even leave their house, and you can't get away from it if you've got a new venture that you're starting and you need to get the word out. Granted, you can go door to door, you can try to make connections, but you are limited on your physical time, where once you put SEO in place to work for you, it's always working for you and it's always on 24/7. So I do think it's critical for success. It helped me grow the last business. It helped me launch the current business in the heart of recession and grow that. So, I can't imagine being a marketer or even in sales and not having some semblance of an idea of what SEO is and how it can help you.
Good. And that fundamental purpose, that's what we really try to get at when we're talking with topical experts like you. So that fundamental purpose of SEO, what's at the heart of it?
Here's what I love about SEO is, so say you're an entrepreneur, a blogger, a small business, right? You are trying to bring people in to convert into whatever you want them to convert, whether it's a lead or a sale or a subscription, subscribe to your blog, whatever that is. So you're going after people. With SEO, they are already qualified. They've qualified themselves before they've brought themselves even into, your website, your blog, and therefore they're ready to convert. And that's pretty powerful. And I don't know of any other marketing channel that can offer that. It's just the time to close a lead or the time to close a sale is so much, it's just significantly reduced because people are already qualified and they've done it themselves because they're putting in the search phrases into Google or Bing.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful endorsement for SEO.
Yeah, I can't imagine life without it. I mean, I really can't.
Oh. So how about SEO versus something like building your Facebook following or your Twitter followers?
So here's my issue with social media. I have a love-hate relationship with it, right? It has definitely helped me grow the business. You know, a lot of my first clients came from LinkedIn. You know, and I have a Facebook group that's really active now, and that helps drive interest and clients and stuff, blah, 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 right? But the issue is I don't own any of that. Facebook owns my group. Facebook has a page with my company's name on it. Instagram, everybody's the same, right? I don't own that property, and at any point it can go away. And we saw that recently with the Facebook algorithm changes. It's very hard to get your page to show up organically. You have to buy those ads. And not only do you not control it, that costs money, and it's only there for a moment. Where if you actually put the time and effort into SEO and you're good at it, things that I ranked 15 years ago are still seen on page one. They're still bringing that company in leads. It's a long-term game plan, and it is also something that you can help control. Now, I know that you say you don't control Google, but if you stay focused on what Google wants and needs, you are still in the driver's seat, and you are still controlling your destiny. And that's something that SEO offers way more than social media can ever give you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And we've seen a trend of bloggers that kind of moved from focusing a lot on their blogs to then focusing more on their social media to try to get numbers up there. But then when you go and check out their blog, it's, the last post was Christmas. You're like, oh no,
yeah,
you like that. When we talk to bloggers and they're getting started with their websites, one of the things that they do is they kind of start on this like, ooh, I have an idea, I should blog about it.
Yeah.
How does that really help or hurt when it comes to getting a website set up that's SEO friendly?
So idea formation is awesome, but SEO can be a very valuable part of it. And first and foremost, it's because you can use the tools you would use for SEO and the process you would go through for SEO to vet your idea before you ever invest any money or time into it. You can look at search volumes. You can use tools to look at your competitors to see really, is this viable for you to proceed with. And then once you have that idea, better formulated, you can use SEO to help map it out, to grow that initial idea and then augment it and grow additional, ideas that may flourish as a result of that core concept that you came up with. So everything I've ever done has been backed by SEO. I had at one point the largest Genesis theme store outside of StudioPress, the original developer. Before I ever created any product, I would use SEO to figure out whether it's viable, whether there's demand, whether I can rank, and that's what made the store successful. I couldn't have done it without that type of thought process and then the data and the intelligence that SEO afforded me to make better business decisions.
That's great. So even right at the beginning of creating a business or creating a product, like you said you did, you went through that keyword research process.
Absolutely. And there was a lot of ideas that people came to me and said, oh, what about this? I'd like a theme for this. And I would look at it and go, unfortunately, there's not enough demand there, or it's really oversaturated, and we're not going to be able to make headway enough to have that give us payback. And I had the process so nailed down that I could develop the theme and get payback for all of the costs to go into it within like a month and a half. And that's because I could rank it in SEO quickly, and I could get up there and I could get those sales, generated. And it was because I was making smarter decisions because I had that data available for me.
Good. So I guess kind of to build on that, is that the same type of process you use now when you're, coming up with a blog post?
It's very similar. So I'm a firm believer in a very structured SEO process, whether you're creating just an individual blog post, or you're doing a brand new launch of something, or maybe even relaunching your blog or your website. I strongly believe it starts with asking questions about who you are, what do you do, what do you offer, who is your target demographic, what do they struggle with, what do they need, and then marrying up their needs to what you offer so that you've got a connection point. Once we have those questions answered in that connection point, then we need to move on to research. Let's look at keyword search volumes for that and come up with phrases that we think that would match up to those needs in our offering. And you start to build up this data pool, and I like to build a big seed list of all possible ideas. I pull search volumes for all of those to help vet my ideas to know if I think people are searching on, if they're really going to search on those, or is it something else. Then once I have those volumes, I can start whittling things down to really focus on what's most relevant, for the topic or for that target market. I do this again, whether it's big or small, just individual blog posts are like a really big process. And then, once we have those focus keywords, now we know how we want to assign them. Do we want to assign them like a couple to one URL, to multiple URLs, but having a very clear map of keyword to URL, super important for us as marketers and as well as the search engines, so they know how to find that content too. And then once we have all of that information and we have this really good plan, now we can write really solid content that is topic focused and keyword phrase focused so that we can show up in search and really put ourselves, with our best foot forward to make sure that people are finding our content.
Yeah, that's great. And, having that plan to start with and that very structured idea behind there, it matches up with how Google sees your site, right?
Yes.
They're planned and they are very structured.
They are, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So keywords, we talk about keywords a lot with SEO. Is that the central main thing that we need to be thinking about when it comes to SEO?
Well, I know that there are people out there that will say SEO is dead and keywords are dead. And let me just fix that thought process right there. Both are alive and well. As long as people struggle with things and as long as they go to the internet to find solutions to their struggles, there will be keywords, there will be SEO. It's the way the world is going to, continue to run. But that all said, keywords won't matter if you don't have them focused on your target demographic and you're not prepared well for SEO and for search. So no matter how good those keywords are, Google's not going to send traffic unless you have good content and your website isn't a hot mess. I mean, It's got to have like both as a cohesive portal for it to utilize to really want to send you traffic.
So what are some of those elements outside of just having the keywords? What are those elements that Google is looking for? And what are the pieces of that structure that it wants to see?
So technical SEO is super important in today's SEO. I mean, modern SEO has just really shifted from just being content-based to really being holistic and having, a good blend of solid, high-quality content and a technical structure set up for your blog and your website. So what does really matter in technical SEO? It's schema and structured data, content silos and topical areas, clean code that Google can actually render and digest, a clean roadmap from keyword to specific URLs, semantic HTML headers, and allowing your content to really provide a good outline and a structure for the search engines and for accessibility readers, unique meta titles and descriptions, well thought out internal linking so that Google has the right data points and the right data triggers to know where keywords lie within your site. Clean alt text for images, anchor text for internal links, and then an XML sitemap that is structured properly, doesn't have a bunch of garbage in it, and is actually connected to like Google and Bing so that they can continuously have that very detailed roadmap of what's on your site or your blog.
Okay. That's a huge list.
It is a huge list, but guess what? Almost all of that is in Google Search Console, and Google is giving you feedback on what's wrong so that you can go fix it. And so is Bing. If you actually go take content and put it into Bing's Webmaster Tools, it'll come back and go, you know what? You got more than one HTML or one H1 here, and it's really not helping me understand what this content is, nor is it good for screen readers. So you might want to fix that. I mean, they're both giving us indicators and suggestions to make our blogs and our websites of better quality so that they can better serve us as marketers.
That's great. So what are some of those things, you mentioned a couple of them, but what are the things that Google and Bing both look at and say like, oh yeah, no, we don't want that?
Old school SEO tactics.
Okay.
So over optimization, poor performance and speed, poor user experience of any kind, funky URL structures, duplicate content, duplicate meta titles and descriptions, internal linking that just goes all over the place and there's no rhyme or reason for it, because that gets really confusing for them. That's all like the on-site stuff. The off-site stuff would be paid links, private blog networks, and I see that all the time in Facebook groups. Like, I want to do a private blog network for this and this and this. It's like, no, you don't. That violates Google's policies. It's going to get you booted off of Google. Those are the things that Google has very little tolerance for. If you're jumping into schema and structured data, make sure it's right, because that really affects the search engines, and it has to be spot on and well thought out and then implemented correctly. It can definitely help you, but it needs to be correct.
All right. I like that. And you say over optimization, is that keyword stuffing? I mean,
it's keyword stuffing. And see, people still have this idea that keyword density, it matters. Keyword density doesn't really exist like it used to. Google is so much smarter than keyword density. It's an old school tactic. Do you need to have your keywords represented? Yes. Do they need to be in the right place so Google can better understand the main topic of this piece of content? Yes. But it's much more important for you to understand the nature of semantics and how semantics and semantic search plays in today's SEO, and focus on that, and way less about whether you've got a 3% keyword density on your blog post.
Yeah. And you know what, we haven't talked about this yet, but I've had a conversation with a couple of other people about this. Tools like Alexa and Siri are changing that. And I think that where they're bringing it more to the forefront, right?
Yes.
We're asking questions and we're speaking these things and we're expecting spoken answers back at us.
Well, when I first started with SEO 15 years ago, it was one word. We were rogue if we went to 2-word searches. And that's because people didn't think that way when it came to search engines, because Google could not return data for it. Google just was very immature compared to what it is today. Well, today Google's matured. It's super wicked smart. It can handle those really long phrases that you put in there. And then you've got people like my children and your children, Rachel, who come and go, hey, Google, is mac and cheese healthy? Or tell me how, what is a centimeter? Because they know that Google's going to give them a good answer. It may not be the right answer. Google's going to tell you to put cauliflower in the mac and cheese to make it healthy, but it will give you a very good answer, and it's going to be very related to the question asked. And it couldn't do that, before. So as marketers and as content writers, we need to think about that. We need to understand, both that the searcher is more intelligent and searches in a different way today than they did before, and Google's much more prepared to process that information and create really good results.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to that day where we have that implant and it, just Google can just start reading my mind and stuff shows up at my front door, and things are just done for me.
You're close, because at Google's meeting, I think it was yesterday morning, they had the Google Assistant actually go and call and make a haircutting appointment.
Oh, very nice.
And interacted with the live person on the other end.
That would be great.
We are getting close to that craziness.
Dear Google, take all my money.
Yes.
Great. So new bloggers, when they're getting started, a lot of times they are thinking of all these different ideas and how they want to delve into each topic. But they start at some point to struggle with keeping all of their content organized. You go from having, 1 or 2 blog posts to, tens, hundreds, maybe even thousands now. So how do you keep everything organized, and how does that relate back to your SEO strategy?
It's super important to the SEO strategy, because if you're feeling overwhelmed with your content and you feel like it's all over the place, so does the search engines. They feel it more than you do, because at least you've got the back end of your site to be able to help ferret things, through. I use tools like Screaming Frog or Dino Mapper to do a full crawl of the site, and it gives you really good data. Dino Mapper can make beautiful representations of it for you in different ways to really help you understand where your content's at, how is it laid out, what's the architecture of it. You can export it all to Excel, so you can do quick filters and sorting of data. Really, really powerful. And that all goes into play into making sure that you do know where content's at and where your keyword focus is. For WordPress, if that's your tool of choice, Yoast SEO with that focus keyword phrase box, great option to help you keep focus, because it'll come back and say, no, you've already tried to focus on this phrase. You're duplicating yourself and you're causing confusion. If you're using the Yoast Premium tool, now you can do that for multiple keywords on one single URL. So, those tools will help keep you on track, and you need to make sure that you're looking for those prompts. And then just doing an audit of your own website, pull Screaming Frog for, use their free the limited, tool, but you download it for free and try it out, because you will be surprised that once you start looking at lists of your content, by URL and by page title, you're like, whew, that's messy. That doesn't really make sense. And you get to see it like Google sees it, which is very powerful.
Yeah. So you've mentioned a couple of WordPress tools, which, we are huge WordPress fans. I don't know how to live without it. Somebody says they're creating a website. I'm like, it's the WordPress thing.
Yeah.
I know you're a big WordPress fan. So what are the elements that WordPress uses or has that search engines happen to like?
So WordPress by default is pretty SEO friendly. It's made more SEO friendly when you put in a plugin like Yoast SEO, because it's going to give you things like canonical links and some keyword focus and help you use the right number of characters for meta titles and meta descriptions. It creates that XML sitemap for you. If you're using the premium version of that, a lot of people are like, do I need the premium version? Well, I would always have said no in years past, but now it'll let you put in multiple focus keyword phrases. It'll automatically create through and redirect should you change your URL, which preserves your SEO value and your traffic and is really important to the search engines. And there's a lot of value there. If you have a blog that's selling something and like you're using WooCommerce, the WooCommerce SEO plugin for Yoast is really powerful for that. If you're combining your blog with like a local shop, you can get a local SEO plugin from Yoast, which produces structured data and schema for you. Even the basic Yoast SEO plugin is creating some structured data for you if you actually fill out the fields. You just need to fill out the actual fields. But so those are really good options to just help make sure that you're more SEO friendly than what you would be just out of the box. Things I would caution you on is don't install a theme that has SEO plugins as part of it, and unless you can disable them. Because, here's the deal. Theme developers are coders, right? They're theme developers. They're not SEO specialists and consultants like the Yoast team is. So they are not aware of what is fully best practice. They don't stay fully up on SEO guidelines and, Google's best practices, because they're more worried about code. And that's, I'm a big proponent of you do what you're good at and you outsource or find somebody else to help you with those other tasks. And that's a good way it's a good area where you really want to segregate that, and keep those two separate.
Okay. So what are some other things that we should look for when we're choosing a WordPress theme? I think that's a good thing, to talk about.
So you want the quality of code to be high, right? You want to, there's tools you could do to just see how that code renders. You can take the theme demo and throw it in the tester at the w3.org, and it will actually show you all the errors that come back. And why is that important? Well, one JavaScript error in a theme file can stop Google from being able to render your page, and it goes away. It can't digest the content. So if it can't render the content, see the content, and digest the content, it sure as heck isn't going to actually rank that content in search. And so you do have to be cognizant of those. Performance and speed, very important. And again, you can do tests of the demo site on Google to really see if it's mobile friendly and it's got good performance. And it always, is it a reputable developer? Have they been around? Are they going to be around? Do they produce updates? Because things change rapidly on internet marketing with code, with SEO, and you need to make sure that you have a theme developer that stays up to date with all of that. Those are the things that I would look for. And then just flexibility. The scary thing about themes is some themes, especially the multi-purpose themes that you'll get from the big marketplaces, will have all these pieces and parts to create all of these different variations of the home pages. And unfortunately, when they're doing that, some of them are creating a ton of duplicate content, which is really bad for SEO. And it really makes that's what's producing the hot mess of the website that Google doesn't know what to do with. So you guys kind of got to be careful of those to make sure that, the theme is SEO friendly and it's robust and it's, and it's light, because that's a key as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to find light themes.
It is, especially if you do anything multi-purpose. Like avoid that like the plague. Figure out what you need, then find the theme that does just that. You don't need to have all this extra stuff because it just really weighs you down in performance. And you'll even have, quality developers won't touch it. Like my guys are like, I'm not touching a ThemeForest theme. There's 2,500 fields and files to get to one thing that should just be like this big. So they're like, no. Yeah. So, those are just, things to consider as you're considering relaunching your blog or your website.
right, perfect. So on those themes where they have all those multiple home pages, and a lot of them come with demo content. And I've seen people do this before, and you can tell us not to do it, but they'll install the demo content and then not go back to it later, right? How many times do you see that?
Well, I do a lot of website audits, right, where people pay me to go in and audit their site. And it's like 120 data points where I manually go through and look at stuff. And if people have bought templates, right, I tell you in 70% of the cases, that demo data is still floating around. Or even if they've had custom themes done and the developers created a sample page for them, or like 2 versions of the homepage for them to review before go live, they're still sitting there. And it's just really clutter. And I mean, can you imagine if you're the search engines and you come to Rachel's blog, and Rachel's blog's got this demo content that so do 1,000 other websites out on the internet. And it looks at it, it's like, oh, this is a lot of duplicate content. Rachel's blog doesn't look nearly as quality as it used to when it was clean.
Right. I always think that, like, if it says lorem ipsum anywhere on the site and Google sees that, it's going to be like, forget it. They don't even care.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I didn't even realize this was so prevalent until I had that theme store, and I had 30 some themes out there that had demo data in it. Yeah. And I learned really quickly to make everything super generic, because people don't get rid of that data. They leave it live for years. And, you know, as a developer, you can't stop that from happening. You just need to protect it. Like, don't put live links in there. Don't put real addresses in there, because it'll screw up local SEO for whoever address that is. I mean, there's just weird nuances like that that most people don't think through, because you really don't have to. But the demo data as a user, whack it.
Yeah. So start super clean right off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, other than WordPress, what are any other CMSs that we might take a look at if for some reason WordPress we don't think will work for us?
There's high quality CMS solutions for like enterprise level websites, but from the small business or blogging perspective, you really start to lose a lot of features and functionalities when you do, you know, move away from WordPress. Squarespace would be probably the closest to WordPress, although I know in my SEO group on Facebook that people who have adopted clients that are using Squarespace run into walls all the time when they're trying to do stuff. They're like, well, I know I can do this with WordPress, and I know I need to do this for SEO, but Squarespace isn't letting me do it. I mean, even things like WordPress lets you install plugins to help you create local schema or schema for your shopping cart, right? And structured data. Squarespace, you have to create it all off online and then plop the HTML code right in, because that's really the only way to do it. And, you know, when we start to get really into SEO, you'll see the limitations of those. You know, if you're a pizza place that's just opened up, Wix, Squarespace, Weebly, great for you, right? Because you don't need a bunch of SEO yet. But if you are competing on a national or an international level for your content and your keywords, you're going to really outgrow those quick.
Yeah, I don't know. The pizza market here in our little town of Commerce Township is pretty fierce. If you've got a pizza place around here, you might want to work on your SEO.
You might want to, but remember, where I'm moving to, I don't even know if there's pizza delivery.
I know. I'll come and bring you a pizza at some point.
Please. I thought about that the other day. I'm like, man, I don't even think I have pizza delivery available.
Yeah. So yeah, Rebecca's moving away from our nice little neighborhood here in Southeast Michigan, and she's moving way up to the tip top of Michigan. We do well here. Let's do it the right way.
Yes. Yep.
Way up here.
Yep.
But it'll be beautiful.
It'll be beautiful. Yet I had to rent an office space because I can't get high-speed internet at the house.
Oh. Yeah. There's one drawback.
Pros and cons of everything.
Yeah. No pizza. Not good internet.
No.
All right. So when it comes to developing the content for the blog, what are some of the things that we need to keep in mind every single time?
So I would tell you, first and foremost, think about the market that you're serving. Again, who are they? What do they do? What do they struggle with? And then what do you do and how you can help them? Take that information, think about how that's going to relate to today's semantic search, user intent, where that person is in their buying cycle, because that's, whether it's transactional or informational, really starts to influence how you would approach SEO. Learn about semantic HTML5 headers and how to create a good outline for your content, because that helps everybody understand the main topic and subtopics and where things really lie within the content. Research your competition. I love SEMrush for that. It is my favorite tool that I couldn't live without. Do good keyword research, right? KW Finder, a great tool for that. It's another one I can't live without. Those are my big ones, and do all of that before you start to really write that content, because then, by the time you get to write that content and you sit down and you spend a couple hours writing content, it is going to be good content and it's going to really help somebody and the search engines are going to love it.
Great. So you mentioned HTML5 and that we need to get ourselves an education in that. Where should we go to learn more about that?
I think it's SEMrush that has a good blog post about that, and it's a good visual blog post that will show you the things. And here's what I mean by the semantic headers. When you are in WordPress and you've got an H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, right? Most people are using those for visual clues for people, right? Oh, it changes the color of my text. It makes the text bigger or smaller. Great, but that's not really their intent. Their intent is to say the H1 is the overriding topic of this URL. H2 is a subheader or a subtopic. There can be a multiple of those. And the H3s come underneath the H2s to say this is a subtopic of that topic. And that creates really an outline, just like you would have like a book outline, right? Or a storyline outline. That's what those are for. And that's why you want to learn how to use them that way. Some people will write their blog post and then go back and put those in to help break things up and really create that structure. Other people, like my friend Chris, will actually create the outline first and use those semantic HTML headers. Then he goes in and writes the content underneath them. So there's two different approaches, but the important thing about them is they are giving you structure. And when they give you structure, it makes it easier for your readers to understand and really jump to what's important to them. And then it makes it really easy for the search engines to understand what the heck you're writing about and how they can use that content in search.
Yeah, I think that's a really good, a great overview of that. And you're right. When I first started using WordPress and I would write something, I was using those headers just for the looks. And then I realized oh no, this is something I'm supposed to be doing for SEO. And you can change the look. You can tell your theme, hey, I want bold and I want this to be this and that to be that. And that's something a developer can help with really easily too.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So whether somebody has been blogging for a really long time, or maybe somebody's just getting started, what are the things that you think that they can focus on within the next couple of months, probably, because SEO is not an overnight kind of a thing. But
correct.
What are some of the things that they could focus on for the next couple of months that will really make a huge impact on their ability to get more search traffic?
So if you are new, right, and you're just creating a blog, I would tell you go sign up for a trial of like SEMrush, dig down into what's there, go explore your competition, really think through the topics that you want to target, and just really immerse yourself in that data. That's for the new bloggers. If you're an existing blogger, maybe your blog's been around for 5 years or 10 years, you probably have a whole bunch of messiness in there that you don't even know exists. And when I do the audits for people, they really say, wow, that's a hot mess. I didn't realize all that was there. Didn't realize I created that, because the older the website you have, the more bloggers, the more people you have doing data entry, the bigger the mess. So if that's you, take the time to do an audit of your site, right? Really think through things like technical SEO, architecture, usability, on-page optimization, internal links. Do an audit. Tools like SEMrush can help you with that. They could run they won't pick up everything. Like I said, my audits I do are 120 data points. I think theirs are probably like 70 or something. It's not going to pick up everything, but it will give you good information. Like, for example, you could have a 301 redirect loop created where this page it says no longer here, go to this page. Then it says this page isn't here, go to this page. And you keep doing it and you loop around. I see that all the time, and that's just, it happens with age and as you modify your blog to meet whatever's happening in the world around you. So that would be a great next step that'll clean stuff up for you and just make it really easy for the search engines to understand what you're offering, more than just that written word. It just made the whole thing together will make their job easier. And when their job's easier, they're going to want to send people to you because they can better understand what you're doing, and then they know you're going to be creating a positive experience for their users.
Great. Yeah. And really, that's what we're doing, right? We're trying to tell Google, hey, and Bing, we're trying to say,
Yes,
hey, this is what we have. These are the types of users we want you to send to us, and they're going to be happy when they get here.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rebecca, I think that's all the questions I have today, even though we could talk about SEO for days on end. But I want to say thank you for sharing all of that with us. And then also, I want to let everybody know that Rebecca will be with us in Chicago in September to talk about SEO. She's going to be on stage on our VIP day. She'll actually be kicking us off on that day. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet for the annual conference, please do that and come with lots of questions for Rebecca. I will vouch for her friendliness and her willingness to talk about SEO all day long. So
Probably more than you want me to.
No, I think this will be the right crowd. They are going to want to hear everything you have to say. All right. So thanks so much for your time, Rebecca.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.